Welcome to another edition of the Cincom Smalltalk tutorial series. What we're going to look at this time is the process monitor, which is a little tool that is largely associated with the debugging tools in the product system, where you can look at all the running processes in either VisualWorks or Object Studio. And what we're going to be looking at is VisualWorks simply because we're using a Mac here and that's the easiest thing to run. But this tool works the same way across both platforms. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and take a look at something simple. What we're going to do is have a little process that we're going to set up. We have a block, and you'll notice that this process is never going to end because I'm doing a true while true. We're just going to do a factorial, and then we're going to delay, and then print to the transcript so that something's always happening and you can see what's going on. So let's do it, and you'll see that things start printing. Now, you'll notice that I didn't keep a hold on my process, so I have no way to grab a hold of that guy from within my workspace. Fortunately, I can always get all the processes by going to the Debug menu, going to the bottom, and selecting Process Monitor. And what you'll see in here is a list of all the running processes. Now, just to take a brief tour of this view here, you can see that right now all the windows that are open and all the processes that are running are in here. So there are four. There's the processes for each of the windows: Launcher, Workspace, Process Monitor, also the one I'm running here. And you can see there's also a menu up here and this little slider bar. The slider bar controls how often the system is going to resample the process space and look at what's out there. And typically it's okay to leave with this with the default, but you can slide it to make it less frequent or more frequent. We'll just leave it with the default for now, but in any case you can make it sample more or less often. The other thing you can change is to show all processes or system only processes. Normally you'd want to leave the system processes alone. Best to leave it with user only. So the processes that are under your control, meaning all of the windows and all of the processes you've kicked off, like this one over here. Now let's say you just want to kill this process. It's a runaway process. Maybe you've started some testing in your application and you've kicked off a process you just want to terminate. Select it, right click, and hit terminate. It'll prompt you, you say yes, and it'll go away. Notice terminate is also part of this pull down. This menu in fact is the same as the one that pops up on the context. Now what we're going to do is start the process again so we can take a look at some of the other options. So now that it's running again, let's right click on it again and look at inspect. That'll show you the process here, and you notice another window popped up in this list because we've got another window. Let's close it, and eventually when it gets garbage collected, that goes away. Now if I select it again, you notice there are other options here. I can view the stack, so it'll pop up another little window where I'm looking at the actual process stack. I can't change it, but I'm looking at it. Another thing I can do is select it and dump the stack. It would now prompt me for a directory system to dump the stack in, which again can be useful if you're processing something important on your system and you don't want to change anything, but you'd like to drop the stack to see why am I in this condition, so you can look at it later over coffee or something. Finally, let's open this up again. I can change the priority. Right now I'm running this at 30, and that's because I decided processor user background priority, which is a name priority. The process levels in Cincom Smalltalk run between a low of 1 and a high of 100. Typically, you want to run yours at under 50 or at highest 50. You don't want to interrupt any of the system processes, which I'll just cancel this out now. If you go over here, you'll notice that if I go to, let's go to the system only ones, many of these are running at very high, some of them are running at very low. You typically don't want to run yours much higher than the system, actually any higher than the system ones. There are reasons you might want to run servers at a higher level than say 50, but in general, if you're running just a process, try to keep it at 50 or below unless you really know what you're doing. Finally, let's go back to the user list, select this one. One other option that's useful is debug. If you hit debug, what it's going to do is suspend that process and put you into the debugger. And we've done a screencast on debugging, so I'm not going to go through this in detail, but you can go through all the same options you've done before. You can run the process, you can debug it completely, or alternatively, if you just kill this thing, you'll notice the process goes away. Because I had suspended the process by opening the debugger, my process has moved to that context. By killing the debugger, I've killed my process. So it's kind of a quick tour of this tool. A lot of different things you can do in this short little tool with not a lot of actual options on the menu, but a lot of power out of it. Notice you also have immediate access to compacting GC and global GC, so that if you want to get rid of something quickly, you've got a bunch of windows, say here, that are popping up in here. Like notice here I've got a menu that popped up. Well, you see that's because that's open. But if you wanted to get rid of something, you can always summon the garbage collector directly out of this window. So that's kind of a brief tour. Should give you an idea how this tool works. and you're off to the races. So it's better for today. Till next time, have fun with Cincom Smalltalk.